Salinas Valley Memorial Healthcare System has been a long-time sponsor of the American Cancer Society, and I'm especially proud to support this celebration of life event. You heard from so many people today about the great work the American Cancer Society does, their commitment to patients, and dedication to life-saving research. They are an excellent partner in carrying out the mission of Salinas Valley Healthcare System to advance the health and wellness of our community. It takes collaboration and resources to provide cancer patients, survivors, and their families to get through every person's unique cancer journey. The national organization has a great reputation, and even more than that, they have a fabulous local team that cares about our community. Our organization has a long history of providing exceptional care to cancer patients and their families. We're a center of excellence when it comes to cancer care. We provide advanced 3D cancer detection and have outstanding oncology providers. We've also built a new state-of-the-art outpatient cancer infusion center and have a cancer resource center in Salinas free and open to the public. Most of all though, we have a dedicated and compassionate team that is with our cancer patients every step of the way. The work we do is very aligned with the many ways the American Cancer Society supports and provides hope to those impacted by this deadly disease. We look forward to next year when we'll be watching cancer survivors on that runway again. But this year, we can all show our support by giving generously to the American Cancer Society and bidding on those silent auction items.
Welcome to the 27th Annual Celebration of Life, hosted by the American Cancer Society of Monterey County. I'm Karina Rusk, and we're thrilled that you have joined us for this 2021 virtual event. Let us celebrate life, our courageous cancer survivors, honor the lives we've lost, and explore the resources and research that are making a difference. It has certainly been a challenging year, and as we emerge from the heaviness of this global pandemic, we want to recognize our collective and our continuous commitment to fight cancer and support people whose lives are touched by this deadly disease. Cancer is a threat that we face decade after decade, and without question, cancer patients found themselves even more vulnerable in a year defined by COVID-19. The American Cancer Society is focused on the safety of patients, staff, and volunteers, and it may not surprise you that for the past 12 months, 80% of the calls coming into the organization from patients were about COVID-19. As a result of the health and economic impact, the American Cancer Society has had to make some tough decisions, eliminating fundraising events and cutting expenses by 30%, and may have to do even more. Cancer, however, is relentless, and this calls all of us into action. Many of us have been touched by cancer personally, and perhaps, like me, you've even lost a loved one to cancer. And so now, we share a responsibility to continue to serve those in the greatest need. During this challenging time, we have worked to urgently provide virtual support to cancer patients and their families. At the same time, the American Cancer Society advances life-saving research and in many communities provides places to stay for healthcare workers through Hope Lodges. Thanks to your generous giving and valued partnerships, critically important programs continue during COVID and beyond. In the next 30 minutes, you'll hear about the impact you can have in this community and on much needed research. As you're about to hear from Dr. Shannon Stott, research plays a vital role in improved cancer treatments and accelerates our race for a cure.
Hi, my name is Dr. Shannon Stott, and I'm bringing hope from home because cancer patients need our support now more than ever. Like many of you, I'm finding myself in an unusual situation where I'm doing an American Cancer Society video from my home to share with you the type of research that I'm doing. There are joys and challenges that come from working from home, but I'm excited to be here with you today as we all work towards making a difference in cancer treatment. I'm an American Cancer Society funded researcher focusing on developing devices that can help us better manage cancer patient treatment. I started off as a mechanical engineer, and I was very grateful when the American Cancer Society took a risk on me over a decade ago to allow me to start developing microfluidic devices to see what kind of biomarkers we can pull from cancer patient blood. Jump forward a decade later, I now have a larger American Cancer Society grant that allows us to pursue the concept of liquid biopsy, or the idea of pulling out cancer patient blood cells to understand how cancer spreads and kills. You may have guessed from the presence of a face mask that I'm back in the lab. We've been back here now for a few weeks, focusing our efforts on how the coronavirus impacts cancer patients. We are concerned that many of the neurological symptoms associated with the coronavirus are very similar to the symptoms that a cancer patient may experience if their brain tumor has returned. We're hoping that our technologies may be useful for the clinicians to figure out if those symptoms are associated with the virus or the potential for the tumor to have returned. We're also hoping that we can learn more about the biology of the virus, and specifically how the virus will impact the immune system of cancer patients. Our devices are small, portable, disposable, and can be rapidly deployed into the clinic if we find that they can be useful. Cancer hasn't stopped, and neither have we.
The COVID-19 pandemic and response to help prevent the spread has had far-reaching impacts on the cancer community. The American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network sent out surveys last spring that revealed a number of challenges for cancer patients and survivors, including delays and cancellation of healthcare services, economic challenges affecting their ability to pay for care, and certainly concerns about their future ability to afford the care they need. So today's event highlights resources available to caregivers from experts in the field, and also courageous cancer survivors who tell us in their own words what life has thrown their way and how they overcame those challenges to bring us stories of hope. Also tonight, we're going to shine a spotlight on passionate givers in our community on a mission to stand up to cancer. Len Miller, a longtime resident of Salinas and now a retired dental hygienist, always kept up with her annual mammograms, which is so important. Len, thanks for being with us and sharing the importance of breast cancer screening and also now life after cancer. Len, I know your story. It is one that I think a lot of women perhaps can relate to and learn a lot of lessons. You knew you were at high risk. Share that knowledge and how you reacted to it in your everyday life.
Probably not well. I think, being told you're at high risk, you're always going to be the exception. There was a lot of cancer in my family background, so I was very diligent at a young age with colon care, colonoscopies, my mammograms. And I went in, had my mammogram, got the letter, everything's fine. However, you've been placed in a high-risk group. Okay, and then there was a lot more to the letter than usual.
I've received them, so I know it goes on.
Yes, it went on, and the bottom line to that was that they wanted me to have an MRI. And I thought, well, why? I mean, why another test? There are a lot of things that will show up on an MRI that will not on a mammogram, and it doesn't mean that they're, a danger. Mm-hmm. My mammographer, Marty Clinton, mm-hmm. who I now refer to as my angel, mm-hmm. because she is, potentially, she's saved my life. I listened to her, I went in, and guess what? I had 2 cancers on my right breast, which her good advice and me listening to her made my treatment very minimal. I was able to get away with a partial mastectomy, 6 weeks of radiation, and some oral hormone inhibitors for 7 years, which I'll take that. I say that I got away with minimal treatment, but a partial mastectomy is no walk in the park, and I had a few complications afterwards.
And I saw you get emotional, and I just have to give a plug to our amazing team at the Nancy Osonio Mammography Center, Marty, as well as our Comprehensive Cancer Resource Center at Salinas Valley Memorial. You've become an advocate, and that's become an important part of your cancer survivorship, right? How do you take that responsibility?
Karina, when I was diagnosed, I was working still 3 days a week at my dental hygiene, so I had a huge platform. And a lot of these women I've known for decades, and I've known them since they were young. I've known them now as mothers, some of them as grandmothers, and so they're family to me. And boy, I'll tell you what, I didn't spare them. I ask them, hi, how are you? Do you have anything bothering you in your mouth? Now, when did you get your last mammogram?
Oh gosh, you were a twofer.
I was ruthless. And a couple of my very dear patients went in and were further advanced with their cancers than I was. And I don't hold back with anybody now. I don't like, they hurt, or they this, or there's no cancer in my family. Okay, that's not your free pass.
Yeah. Self-care. I mean, you probably had to embrace that a little bit during your journey. And during COVID, I think we're all kind of, just trying to juggle too much, being pulled in so many different directions, and that self-care piece, people are talking about it. In reality, what does that look and feel like?
My self-care, I feel like I've always taken pretty good care of myself. Like I think you and I have discussed, during this last year, most of us have felt very out of control in a lot of areas of our life. And with care and putting off exams, that is just not something to be fearful of. Because by doing that, the numbers of early diagnoses are going down, and cancers are not being caught as early this year. And that's a tragedy. And that's the self-care that you have control over.
As we're wrapping up our conversation, what would you like to share? What would you like to give us?
One of the things that impacted me during my treatment was how much my life influences my family. And I really realized that it was not just for me that I needed to be diligent. And I have family, and I've got 2 young granddaughters, 2 young grandsons, and I want their care to be modeled by Grandma. And I want to keep myself well for them, because they need me, and I'm very blessed that they do, and I need them. So please, 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 people, get these exams. Take care of yourself, because you're needed, and be grateful for that, and show the people that love you by taking care of yourself.
Taking care of yourself, and as you point out, taking care of those you love. So doing what you need to do medically, emotionally, and that follow-up is so important, not only for your own survival, but for the well-being of your family and your friends, because we're all connected. Thank you for sharing your personal story. We appreciate it. When you look at cancer types, there is a huge variation in survival rates, and in all cases, the chances of surviving are much better if the cancer is found early, like in Lynn's case. And no one should think that they are immune to cancer. In this year, 2021, it's estimated there will be 1.9 million new cancer cases in the United States, and more than 600,000 cancer deaths. In California alone, it's estimated there will be 187,000 new cases and 61,000 deaths. And locally, there's an average of 1,700 new cancer cases each year. The good news, though, is that advances in medicine have made cancer more survivable than ever before. A new report by the American Cancer Society and the National Cancer Institute estimates there are more than 16.9 million cancer survivors alive today in the United States, and that number will grow to more than 22 million by 2030. Treating cancer is certainly a team effort. In addition to healthcare professionals and specialists, patients also rely on having a support system, including caregivers. One person who knows quite a bit about that topic is Rachel Kennedy, Strategic Director, Cancer Caregiver Support from the American Cancer Society. And Rachel is in charge of nationwide caregiving initiatives and activities. She has a really impressive resume. Welcome, Rachel. We're so pleased to have you here today. Tell us just a little bit about your background, because it really is impressive.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Karina. It's a pleasure to be here. So I've been at the American Cancer Society now for 21 years, and I have been working in caregiving the full 21 years, and also a little bit of post-treatment cancer survivorship as well. In the research department, I ran the largest longitudinal study of both cancer survivors and their caregivers, where I was really able to track quality of life from about 1 year's post-diagnosis to about 9 years post-diagnosis. And I've used all of that data and have gleaned all of these findings from it to create these evidence-informed resources for caregivers specifically. And for the first time in the ACS 115 plus year history, we actually have a caregiver support program. And I'm just absolutely honored to be able to lead this work.
Caregiving and support has come so much into the public consciousness, and now we're able to take a look at what does that role really mean. And some people have become familiar with it through caring for their loved one that may have cancer, others with COVID-19 coming onto the landscape. But what does that caregiver role really look like, and how do you define it in different situations?
I keep this quote in my back pocket, and it's from the former First Lady, Mrs. Rosalind Carter. She says, there are 4 kinds of people in the world: those who have been caregivers, those who are currently caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those who will need a caregiver. And I'm telling you, over the past year, and we marked the anniversary, I think March 11th is really when we kind of shut down as a nation. We really have kind of propped up and promoted the role of caregiver like no other time before in history. So caregivers have really had a time to shine through this. And the appreciation of that role has become so critically important. So at the American Cancer Society, again, we really value caregivers and the role that you guys are playing if you are one. And I want to take a minute to acknowledge everything that you do and to really reiterate all of the multidimensional kind of care tasks that you take on. So you are information seekers on how cancer and its treatment affects the body and the long-term and late effects thereafter. You provide emotional support in managing your loved one's anxiety, depression, fear, and anger. You share responsibilities in critical decision-making. You have to navigate the financial concerns and your own employment benefits if you're employed outside of the home. You typically have to seek out your own respite support and social services and social support, trying to find things that kind of help boost you and prop you up. And you maintain the basics like housework, cooking meals, and providing transportation to and from medical appointments, including treatment. And you do all of this while you also try to manage your own health and wellness and also maintaining that family cohesiveness. We typically see that caregivers have experienced a lot of emotional distress, especially guilt around their role about things that they're potentially neglecting or that they're not doing enough of. But the positive effects of caregiving are also something that's important to realize. There's that post-traumatic growth from providing care. A lot of times you hear of post-traumatic stress disorder. Well, there's also a post-traumatic growth, a benefit-finding phenomenon around how caregiving can actually help you reprioritize what's important in life.
learning to slow down a little bit and prioritize what's important in life. And as you were rattling off all of those responsibilities and tasks and concerns, it really is juggling. How do you make those boundaries if you're a caregiver, especially with work commitments?
The ability to be able to speak openly with your manager about what you're going through at home, and having these responsibilities of care. I know a lot of people have a hard time opening up to their employer about what's going on because they fear that they might lose their position or their role because of the time that it takes to provide care. But I think having that open conversation and setting expectations is a critical piece of this. Also, if you have an employer that has an employee assistance program or an EAP, you can find some type of resources and respite through that. And then in addition to that, you should look into your benefits package. If you have an employer that has a family medical leave policy, this will afford you the ability to maintain and secure your position at your job while taking 12 weeks off. And we're also working 3 different states right now, federally also, and looking at paid family medical leave. And that's something that we're working on through the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network. But your state might also have a full or partial paid FMLA. You should look into that.
Yeah, that kind of gets into all the policy surrounding caregiving and what that entails on a government level. Certainly from a government level, we've been hearing from the CDC for the past year. We know what social distancing is. We're all familiar with what to do, what not to do. But what about caregiving in that role when you're trying to maintain all of those protocols? How do you juggle that?
The impact of caregiving during COVID, again, there's never been such a critical time for caregivers to be propped up. But this crisis has really created a widespread disruption. It's triggered massive relocation of employees to their homes, tremendous stress on those without the option to work from home, financial issues, and again, the emotional fallout from the social distancing. And all of these effects increase the caregiver burden and kind of intensify the need for greater caregiver support. But caring for someone with cancer has become even more serious because of the pandemic. And people with lymphomas and multiple myeloma and most types of leukemia are, of course, at the highest risk of infection because these cancers cause changes that make the immune system unable to work as well as it should. But of course, all cancer patients are immunocompromised. So in terms of, some social distancing, social distancing practices as caregivers, sometimes caregivers don't live with the person that they're providing care for. So it's important to remember that food prep should be contact-free delivery. So if you drop off food at the patient's house, make sure that that's contact-free, smaller portions, plastic cutlery and straws. Believe it or not, there's a major taste problem if somebody's going through treatment if they eat from silverware. So having plastic cutlery and straws is critical. And then also offering maybe some gift cards to favorite restaurants. Rides to treatment right now, making sure that the car is fully sanitized and sterilizing all the high touch points throughout the car. And also as a caregiver, maintaining that you're the point of contact, if applicable, becoming the patient's point of contact for all of their, services and in connection with, of course, them and being part of that conversation so you can help make decisions.
You have been a fabulous resource today, and it is amazing. You've presented a wealth of information in a very short amount of time, some really good knowledge and some tips, and most importantly, resources where we can go back and learn and feed ourselves the knowledge that will help everyone be better caregivers, be better to themselves. Can't thank you enough for everything that you've shared with us and for the work that you're doing, especially that Spanish translation. So important to our residents in this area to have those resources. So thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you for your research, and thanks for being with us here today. We appreciate it.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Our next guest is Lindsay McMains. She was born and raised in Salinas, California, graduated from Notre Dame High School in 1994, and moved on to college at Arizona State University, where she met her husband, Brian, 20 years ago. Today, she's a mother of 3 and a breast cancer survivor. Lindsay, Brian, welcome. Thank you for being with us. Lindsay, it was 11 years ago that you heard the words, "You have cancer." Certainly has changed the journey that you were on for both you and Brian. Tell us a little bit about what was going through your mind when you heard that breast cancer diagnosis.
Oh gosh, it still seems unreal. It was a very surreal day, just unbelievable, really. Just hearing those words, I struggled. I still struggle to accept the fact that somebody had the nerve to say you have cancer.
Yeah, because it seems like it does happen, you hear about it, but it happens to someone else.
Right.
And it hit you very personally. What kind of treatment options, what kind of diagnosis, what was the information you were processing at that time?
So I think it's important to share that my diagnosis was given to me over the phone, which makes it even more challenging. I was in the middle of just a normal day, and this was just kind of checking boxes, getting things done for the day. I had to take this phone call. And I was told that I had cancer, but wasn't given a whole lot of information at that moment. So as you can imagine, things snowballed from there. Appointments were scheduled, things just started happening. As far as the exact diagnosis, fortunately, it was early stage. We did find it early. So I had a little bit of time to kind of process. And so this kind of led to, you ask about treatment options. We were able to explore kind of different options, and everybody's journey is a little bit different. No two journeys are the same. My journey really, as far as treatment goes, consisted of surgeries. That's really how we got the ball rolling, was getting surgery scheduled, of course, after many imaging appointments and all of the scans and all of the things that you have to go through to figure out. Again, there's a lot of boxes that have to be checked as you begin the start of that process.
When you're talking about the treatment and the surgeries, can you share exactly what that looked like and felt like as a woman?
Had my first surgery was, like I mentioned, it was a double mastectomy. And then I opted to do reconstruction. So with that came multiple surgeries. There were some complications, and just, over the years, there were multiple surgeries as a result. Now, I will tell you, 2 years ago, I became very ill again. And after really researching and listening to my body, and as a woman, being able to just really set aside vanity and really focus in on my health, I was able to figure out that the implants that I had placed for reconstruction were causing me many, many medical issues. I had the implants removed, and I will tell you, the journey since then has been nothing but good news. My health I've regained strength. A lot of the things that were happening have turned around. So I know I made the right decision, and I'm feeling great.
And you said like a second mastectomy, and it really was, both emotionally and physically, because I'm sure as a cancer survivor, that acceptance first of the diagnosis, then of the treatment, then of the place where, okay, somewhat of a return to, and then having, as you said, to go back to square one. So that, in addition to the physical journey, was, I'm sure, quite an emotional journey.
I mean, you just said it so well. That's exactly what it was. Emotional journey that I had to relive that day of the diagnosis. It all comes back. You relive it. And I'm not going to lie, there were, you do go through a process of, there's intense emotion, there's anger, there's fear, it all, you go through that again. And then there's a process of grieving. You do grieve because you are losing a part of you know, you're losing a part of you. And so, yes, it's intense, but again, something that I felt was necessary for my own, to kind of close that door on that portion of this journey. You know, it'll never be over. I will constantly have to stay on top of things, but that was a big step in being able to kind of get through that emotional piece.
We thank you so much for sharing, but anything else come to mind that you want to share or can share that may help others?
I've said to many women that have gone through this, that, you know, our bodies are amazing, right? We have been created to heal. And when we go through these things, our bodies heal. It's the emotional piece that we have to really nurture and care for. And I don't think that's talked about enough. And so I just encourage anybody who is going through this, or as you said, you know, may have to go through this, take care of that piece, take care of yourself, find your support. Do not be afraid to take maybe a path less traveled, right? Maybe a path that that it seems others it hasn't been a most popular path to take. If it makes sense for you and your well-being, you know, do what you need to do for your own sake.
Well, you are certainly a fighter, certainly courageous, and I think that you've trusted yourself and you've trusted Brian, you've trusted where your journey was going and where you needed to take it for your own health and well-being. And so again, just congratulations on where you are now and everything that you're giving back. And thank you again for taking time for us today.
Thank you. It's an honor to share.
Brian, just a couple of questions for you individually, and that is, what do you share with other partners that are watching and feeling, you know, pain and heartache themselves, but needing to put the attention where it rightly deserves? How do you balance that, and what do you share?
What I found in this whole journey is the strength of my wife was incredible, you know, and really, you know, she wanted to start fundraising when we got out of the hospital after her surgery, which was amazing to me. So the true toughness of her and her resiliency, and it just was really amazing. I'm lucky to have a partner like that actually was that strong to get through that portion of it. But really, you know, to try to be supportive and to try to just do those things that need to be done, I think that's really all it takes on my end. You know, to try to find somebody to counsel me on anything, you know, I didn't necessarily reach out to too many, but I do have some best friends in life that obviously talked me through situations. They hadn't been through a similar situation, but just to be able to talk to somebody and let out, you know, what you have going on, because I never wanted to put any focus on me. I wanted to make sure everything was on her. So.
Is there anything else that comes to mind that you want folks to understand or know as they take a few moments tonight to explore this issue?
Early testing and doing anything that you can to make sure you're healthy. It's just a big key in what's going on. You know, you know, Lindsay was 33 when she was diagnosed, and gosh, it was the last thing on our minds that she could actually have cancer. So I think the other portion of this whole situation is, you know, our children were amazing too, you know, and really lean on those people that are around you. I know that there was times, especially in the beginning, we never liked to ask for help, and it was so amazing. We started getting dinners at our house, even though we were like, no, we're good. But, you know, the one thing I would say is take the help when you can, because people actually like helping, and it gives them a sense of purpose, because they want to do something for you. They're your friends, you know, and it's that part to me was just amazing.
There is a lot to be said with being gracious and accepting the gifts, that you're not being a burden, and that it really does fill the heart of the person who is trying to support and maybe not quite sure, you know, how, but doing what they can. And then, as you said, just being grateful for that. Well, clearly you are providing support to others. You are clearly an inspiration to all of us. And we thank you so very much for being here today, and wish you and your family much, much happiness. Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
And thanks to all of our courageous survivors for sharing their cancer journey, the importance of a growth mindset for managing through peaks and valleys of health, and the advice they provided to raise awareness. There's a lot of inspirational quotes out there. This one is credited to boxing great Muhammad Ali. Don't count the days, make the days count. And we're fortunate to have quite a few people in our community with that outlook. They give of their time, talents, and money. And like you, they're passionate about supporting the American Cancer Society. Let's take a moment to hear from some of our generous donors.
I'm Karen Fano, one of the founders of the Celebration of Life fashion show. It's been 27 years, which I can't believe it. Shirley Lavarado, Jerry Olivas, and myself were having lunch and discussing the taboos of breast cancer when we were much younger. Shirley and Jerry and myself were going to change that.
I've been around a long time and I've seen cancer, and I know when cancer used to be a death sentence.
You know, the American Cancer Society is important to help with research and help us live longer lives. And just recently I've had 4 friends that have died of cancer, and I think that to have them live a longer life was really important. And with that research, all of us live a longer life.
Since my family has experienced cancer in so many ways, I am ready to give to the American Cancer Society a lot, and every year.
The American Cancer Society, they are capable of helping me get through the various stages of having cancer, and I found them enormously helpful. They came and helped me get through with the Feel Good, Look Good program, and they helped me answer my questions when doctors were not around or unavailable. They were always there.
I give because there's a need to give in the community.
My husband and I try to give to the best of our ability every year.
It's just something that was instilled in me when I was 15 years old, of what it was like to work on something and give back.
I choose to give because the American Cancer Society gave so much back to me. Cancer is an insidious disease, and it doesn't know sex, age, gender. It doesn't know any of that.
We want to help eradicate cancer. We want to help find new treatments. It's really hard not to give to the American Cancer Society. It's such a beautiful cause, and I will continue to do so.
Part of our commitment in our company values, right as you walk in our front door, it says giving back to the community.
The Salinas Valley in particular is a very giving community. I feel it's very important to give back to the community, give back to the American Cancer Society.
I have been with the Cancer Society for 18 years. I first started as a patient navigator, and it was wonderful to be able to share my experience with another patient who's experienced it for the first time. It was invaluable. It was something that stayed with me for years, and that is the reason I am here, to help others, not just myself.
Fashion is my passion, and one of the things I've tried to do in this field is make women feel beautiful. I have met so many wonderful women, men, women, and children doing this show, but there is one thing I'll never forget. I had a woman come up to me who had been through hell. She'd been through treatment, and she came up to me and she said, "You know, Karen, I've been through a lot, but I'm queen for a day today." And I'll never forget it. It's all worth it, and it's been worth it for 27 years. And I will continue helping women feel better about themselves.
We all feel proud that we're part of that group, and we're part of that community.
And I know that the money goes to good causes like helping the local community. Helping just one person a year is a wonderful thing. And I'm sure that the numbers can't be calculated because they help so many people locally. Everybody wants to help. Everybody wants to get together and work towards the end of cancer.
I don't think we're that far away from conquering cancer, so please give. Thank you.
All of us have been touched by cancer, or we will be touched by cancer. Let's continue supporting the American Cancer Society. Thank you so much.
A tradition of the Celebration of Life fashion show is to dedicate the day to an individual, organization, or business in our community who inspires others and exemplifies the true meaning of making a difference. This year, that tradition takes on an even bigger meaning. The Celebration of Life has created a new annual award in memory of a woman dear to many of our hearts, Shirley Laverato. Shirley gave generously within the local community and made a forever impact. This award recognizes individuals or businesses that work toward betterment of finding a cure, engaging the community, and leading with passion to help others.
In the 27 years last past, Shirley has been an inspiration to me. She was not only inspirational to me, but inspirational to other people.
You know, she had a wonderful smile, and she also had a giving heart. And she always wanted to do whatever she could to give back to the community more than anybody I know.
She was working for such a good cause, and she knew it, and she believed in herself. What a special lady, and I think we all are missing her so much.
She donated much of her time year after year to this organization as well as others.
I'm here today to present the first annual Shirley Laverato Memorial Award. I'm truly honored to be able to present this award today to honor Mrs. Laverato. Here at Palma, Shirley Laverato has meant so much to our boys and to our schools for years and years. On top of that, on a very personal note, Mrs. Laverato is very much a second mother to me. This award encapsulates the passion that Shirley Laverato had for this community in giving back to the people who lived here. I am honored today to give the first annual Shirley Laverato Award to Mona Eisenberg. Mona, thank you so much for all you do in the American Cancer Society.
I can't believe you guys did this. It's such a shock.
Mona is being honored today because of her betterment to finding a cure and giving back with passion, her volunteerism in the community for over 2 decades, and she is also a 2-time cancer survivor.
Annie's glass.
Oh, God.
And thank you for everything you've done to contribute to the American Cancer Society.
I love all of you so
You have added
much.
so much to our team.
I love you all. You have shown me so much and taught me so much. I'm blessed to know you and to love you as much as I do. It's great.
What a remarkable presentation. There could not be a dry eye in the house. Oh, congratulations, Mona. And thank you to the Laverato family for your deep generosity, especially here in the Salinas Valley. The Shirley Laverato Celebration of Life Award is one way to honor and to remember Shirley and carry forward her spirit to future celebrations of life. Now here's a few words from our event co-chairs, Linda and Mary Alice.
We are very fortunate to have a community of generous sponsors supporting this Celebration of Life event. We hope the courage of all cancer survivors inspire you with their strength, determination, and encourage you to take action to help us in our fight against cancer. Today, we pay tribute to Shirley Laverato, our founder, who had great passion and has touched so many lives in our community. It is with deep appreciation we would like to thank our premier sponsors, donors, and friends. Bill Monkovich from Cal Giant Berry Farms, Bruce and Linda Taylor, Taylor Farms, Susan and David Gill, Salinas Valley Memorial Healthcare System, Angie McKelly, Samet family, the estate of Gary I. Eisenberg, and Janice and Dennis Caprara. Donations will continue to be accepted online via our website. Once again, thank you so much for your continued support.
Thank you so much for joining us today and continuing to support this important cause. The American Cancer Society has invested more than $4.8 billion in innovative cancer research and provided free patient programs and services to countless members of our community. Your continued support is greatly appreciated. We are also grateful for your generous sponsorships, gift certificates, and so many creative items that have been donated for this year's silent auction. Don't forget, the silent auction closes tomorrow, April 18th at 5 p.m. While you're bidding, please remember all those you are helping in the fight against cancer and helping to find a cure. Once again, thank you for joining us, and I hope this experience continues to make a difference in your life or in the lives of those you know who are fighting this disease.
The event co-chairs and committee unselfishly give their time to make this annual event a memorable celebration, whether we are together in person or virtually, like today. Thank you so much to our courageous survivors, Lynn and Lindsay, for sharing their cancer journey, and Rachel and Brian helping to raise awareness as a caregiver advocate. And before you sign off, there are several resources we want to leave you with, whether you are a cancer patient, survivor, or caregiver. COVID-19 has made it even more important that we all stay healthy, protect our immune system, and follow CDC safety guidelines as we see our way to the finish line of this pandemic. Resources from the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network offer you the latest news and answers to common questions. In addition, cancer information specialists are available 24 hours a day for support and education. For the latest news, common questions, and resources on the coronavirus, visit cancer.org. Cancer information specialists can answer questions 24 hours a day. The number 1-800-227-2345. And online chat support can offer you video chat and online community support. Once again, go to cancer.org. Take part by giving. That gift is the most important of all. Your investment today can mean improved early detection and more effective treatment for people with cancer in the future. The funding shortfall caused by COVID-19 makes your generous donation to our mission more important than ever. Lots of ways to do that. Just go online to make a donation through our website, which is right there on your screen. And if you have not already registered for our online silent auction, there's lots of great stuff there. You still have time to bid online. The silent auction ends in 24 hours at 5 p.m. on Sunday, April 18th. It's been such a pleasure to be with you here today to help bring perspective, stories of hope, and to recognize those that have and continue to make a difference in our community. We appreciate you tuning in to our virtual experience. It has truly been an honor to join you and to take part in this incredible American Cancer Society tradition. Thank you for your generosity and support.